Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers faces his former team when the Green Bay Packers come to town. The Buffalo Bills look to avoid losing 3 straight. And the New York Giants and Philadelphia Eagles face off in a classic NFC East showdown for the second time in 3 weeks. Let's get into the full Week 8 slate, which culminates with Monday Night Football featuring the Washington Commanders and the Kansas City Chiefs. Hey there, welcome everybody to the Week 8 edition, this special Saturday night edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined by good old MF Michael Fletcher. We are maybe awaiting the presence of Michael Bullock. If he comes in, we'll catch him up on what he missed. If not, we'll hopefully have him back with us tomorrow night for a special edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. We apologize for the inconvenience of last night. Circumstances, commitments beyond our control came up, and we had no choice but to postpone the show last night. But thankfully, we've had 24 hours to clear our heads, and we're all ready to go. So let's not waste too much time. Let's dive on in. We are already in week number 8 of this NFL season. This season has flown by real quick. And we have 6 teams on bye this week. The Arizona Cardinals, the Detroit Lions, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Los Angeles Rams, the Las Vegas Raiders, and the Seattle Seahawks. You will not see any of those 6 teams this week. We did start it off Thursday night with Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime Video. And let's be honest, our side of the ledger, we got saddled with a lot of matchups. So bad that we had to do 2 cross flexes, and this was one of them. We cross flexed this game into our number 3 game of the week. It was the Minnesota Vikings and the Los Angeles Chargers at SoFi Stadium. And it was all Chargers all the time in this one. 37-10. The Los Angeles Chargers all over the Minnesota Vikings on Thursday night. For the Chargers, of course, it was Justin Herbert, 18 of 25, 227 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Kamani Vidal, 23 carries, 117 yards, and a touchdown. Ladd McConkey, 6 catches, 88 yards, and a touchdown. Aronde Gadsden, the second, 5 catches, 77 yards, and a touchdown. Trey Harris even caught a touchdown pass, despite just 2 catches for 8 yards. And the defense feasted on Carson Wentz. Defense feasted to the tune of 5 sacks. 2 of them by Justin Eboigbe, and then 1 sack each for Tuli Tupiloto, Khalil Mack, and Odafe Owa. And RJ Mickens had an interception in the game as well. Great win for the Chargers. And then as far as the Vikings are concerned, running down their numbers, Carson Wentz, 15 of 27, 144 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Max Brosmer got some playing time, 3 of 4 for 13 yards. Running game, non-existent. Xavier Scott, 16 yards to lead the rushing game. Justin Jefferson, 7 catches, 74 yards for the receiving corps. Jordan Addison, the lone touchdown, 3 catches, 26 yards. Defense recorded 2 sacks. It was Jonathan Greenard and Levi Drake, or I should say Jonathan Allen. And Josh Metellus had an interception of Justin Herbert. But it was all Chargers all the time. Chargers improved to 5-3 on the season. Vikings dropped to 3-4. Next week, the Chargers will be on the road against the Tennessee Titans in Nashville. That's one of our games next week. As for the Minnesota Vikings, they gotta go to Detroit. They gotta go up against the Lions at Ford Field. I don't know about that one, but what I do know is that a very impressive win for the Chargers. Short week. I mean, they got smacked around by the Indianapolis Colts. They hung with the Colts, but the Colts ultimately put them away. The game of the week that MF and I had last week, and we'll talk more about the Colts. So we'll be talking about them a little bit later on. But the Chargers Nice bounce back after that tough loss to the Colts. They're 5-3 now. They've got a winnable game next week against the Tennessee Titans in Nashville. They should win that game, and then we'll see what happens from there. Minnesota, though. Oh, Detroit. Oof. I don't know about that. That's a tall order right there. So, especially at Ford Field. So, talk about that next. We'll talk about those games next week. But very impressive for the Chargers. Nice bounce back after that tough loss to Indy, and we'll see if that translates to anything going forward. So, not much more to say. MF, come on in. Chargers all over the Vikings, 37-10. Nice bounce back for the Chargers after getting smacked around a bit by Indy, as we saw last Sunday in our game of the week.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This was a very impressive performance. And could have been you couldn't have done it any better. I mean, it was a great performance. Domination from beginning to end. I felt sorry for Carson Wentz, man. He was having a rough night. You could tell he was definitely laboring. He was hurt, but they had to do it, man. He gutted it out. He was a walking mash unit the whole night, and they did what they had to do. They got the job done. The Chargers just looked absolutely dominating from beginning to end. So they deserve that victory. There's no doubt about it. Really nothing more to add. Anthony, let's just get into the Sunday slate.
And we started off with one of our lower tier games of the week when it comes to our side of the ledger. I think this came in at number 6, I believe. The Miami Dolphins squaring off against the Atlanta Falcons, Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Good news, MF. You're finally going to have your good luck charm calling this game for you. You're going to have Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, and Melanie Collins. They will be there. But Atlanta is opening up as a 7-point favorite. Miami, though, leads the all-time series. Oops, I'm sorry. I was on the wrong team. Never mind. Scratch that. Actually, it is Miami. Miami does lead the series. It's 9-5 in favor of Miami. But Atlanta won the last meeting in 2021, winning it 30-28 in Miami. Last meeting in Atlanta, 2017. Miami won that game 20-17. Atlanta's last home win against Miami was week 1 of the 2009 season. Ironically, we had that game, MF, to start the 09 season. Atlanta won that one 19-7, as you remember. So, all right. So let's get into our first game of the week. We got Miami and Atlanta, and here we go. This is a dream matchup on paper for one side and a nightmare for the other. Falcons running back Bijan Robinson leads the NFL in total yards a game at 152.3 and is 2 weeks removed from an explosive 238-yard performance. Meanwhile, the Dolphins have allowed 5 of the 7 starting running backs they have faced this season to eclipse 100 total yards, with Jonathan Taylor at 98 and Quinshon Judkins at 84 falling just short. Robinson could be in line for a huge day if Miami cannot right the ship. The Falcons are 7th in the league in yards a game at 364.3, so their offense has been able to move the ball. Getting into the end zone has been another story. Their 18.3 points a game is 5th worst in the NFL. Quarterback Michael Penix Jr. said that the Falcons can't settle for field goals, and perhaps the Dolphins, who allow the 4th most points a game at 29.3, can get Atlanta out of that rut. Falcons have allowed 141.2 passing yards a game, fewest in the NFL, which is the team's best mark through 6 games since 1977, and the fewest by any team through 6 games since the 2019 San Francisco 49ers. FPI goes with Atlanta here, 62% going with the Atlanta Falcons. And I'm sorry, MF, I hate to do it to you, but I have to go with the Atlanta Falcons to win this game as well. My final score is going to be 27-20. Give me Atlanta to defeat Miami and continuing the hard times for the Miami Dolphins. The only thing of note here, Michael Penix will not be starting. He's injured. So Kirk Cousins is going to be getting the start for Atlanta. So, but even still, I still have to go with Atlanta to win this one. Like I said, 27-20, the final. MF, our number 6 game of the week. Your Dolphins. Now you got to go to Atlanta, going up against a red hot Bijan Robinson. Yikes.
Yeah, and especially with the way Miami's been playing lately and with all the drama, I, there's not a big surprise that everybody's going against them. There's not a big surprise. I mean, even some of the Dolphin fan base has practically thrown in the towel and given up on this season. So I'm not surprised that a lot of people are picking Atlanta to win tomorrow. So yeah, I mean, is there a saving grace for the Dolphins here? I don't know. I don't see it. The way that this team is right now, the way that everything's been looking, it'd be great to see Miami win, but even realistically, on paper, it doesn't look good. So I mean, yeah, there's really not much to add here. Um, I'll openly admit it. I don't got much hope for the Dolphins right now. I kind of feel like Atlanta will win. Just if they use the blueprint that they used against Buffalo, it's an easy victory for Atlanta because defensively, Miami just doesn't have it. They don't. They can't stop the run, and that's the one thing that Bijan Robinson could feast on is that run game. So if they do that, Atlanta wins easily. So yeah, nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
All right, MF, you lead off on our next game. This is I believe this came in at number 4 on the ledger, if I'm not mistaken. We got the Chicago Bears squaring off against the Baltimore Ravens, M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. Iron Eagle, J.J. Watt, Evan Washburn, they will have it. And the spread favors, believe it or not, Baltimore. Baltimore is actually opening up as a 2.5-point favorite here. Chicago, though, leads the all-time series 4-3. Baltimore won the last meeting in Chicago, 2021. That was 16-13. Last meeting in Baltimore was 2017, and Chicago won that game, 27-24 in overtime. Believe it or not, the Ravens have only beaten the Bears at home once, and that was all the way back in 2001. 17-6, the final there. The news came out earlier today, if you didn't hear, Lamar Jackson is going to be out again. Oh, and Tyler Huntley is going to be the starter for the Baltimore Ravens against the Chicago Bears. But I hate to further add to your troubles, MF, but the reports I heard today are saying that Lamar Jackson could be ready to go for Miami on Thursday night. And if that's the case, oh boy. But MF, nonetheless, we got Chicago, we got Baltimore. Jackson is out, at least for this game. Huntley's starting. What happened? Does Baltimore finally right the ship, or does Chicago get the win here?
I just don't see Baltimore winning this game. Going in, if Lamar Jackson would have played, I easily would go Baltimore. I don't. I honestly think that Huntley is, I just don't see him as a good quarterback. I don't think he will be able to do much in this game. So for me, I'm going to openly admit it. I think this is going to end up being a victory for the Chicago Bears. I think Chicago is going to go into Baltimore and stun the Ravens. With the way the Ravens have been playing this year, especially after that, that horrific start that they've had. I just don't have much faith in the Ravens right now. With all the mistakes that they've been making in the whole 9 yards, give me Chicago to beat the Ravens. And Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, it's going to be Chicago. Just Bears rookie tight end Colston Loveland is in line for a bigger workload with Cole Kmet sidelined with a back injury. The position group has been underused in Chicago, and Week 8 presents Coach Ben Johnson with an opportunity to get Loveland more involved in the passing game. Johnson said, I know that the production, call it 6 games into it, isn't what any of us maybe look for from a numbers perspective, but Loveland is impacting games in a very positive fashion for us, and he's a reason why our offense is going to continue to get better. The Ravens, who have tied the franchise's worst start, are in must-win mode. Only one, believe it or not, only one team in NFL history, the 1970 Cincinnati Bengals, have reached the playoffs after starting 1-6. Ravens safety Kyle Hamilton said, every game for us is a playoff game. That's how it feels and how it's going to have to be from here on out. We dug ourselves into a deep hole, but in order to get in the dance, we've got to really be locked in from here on out. Baltimore typically is at its best following some rest, going 8-1 in games directly following the bye week since 2016. Ravens running back Derrick Henry's 88 rushes are his fewest through 6 games since 2018 when he was in Tennessee. It's hard to believe that the FPI is still going with Baltimore here, 60%. With all due respect to the FPI, MF and I 100% disagree with you. We're going with the Chicago Bears to win this game. It could be close, but I don't know if it will be. But regardless, I'm still going with Chicago to win this game. My final score is I'm going to go 24-21. I do believe Chicago will steal this one in Baltimore. All right. We move to the Fox side of the schedule. And by default, this is their game of the week record-wise. It's my team, the Buffalo Bills, on the road against the Carolina Panthers, Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. Adam Amin sitting in for Joe Davis. Joe Davis, of course, with the World Series. And by the way, breaking news, the Los Angeles Dodgers have evened said World Series at 1 game apiece, 5-1 the final here tonight. Travel day tomorrow, and then Game 3 moves to Los Angeles on Monday night. And we know it will at least go 5. So that's the story there. All right. Adam Amin will be working with Joe Davis's crew, which is Greg Olson and Pam Oliver. Buffalo opening up as a 7-point favorite. And Buffalo leads the all-time series with Carolina, 6-2. Last meeting was 2021 in Buffalo. Buffalo won that game 31-14. Last meeting in Charlotte, 2017, Carolina won an ugly game 9-3. And Buffalo has won in Charlotte before, but the last time they did so was in 2009, and it was a 20-9 final that year. So let's talk about it. Coming off their bye week, the Bills are looking to avoid scoring 20 points or fewer in 3 straight games for the first time since 2020. Carolina has allowed 20 or more points in all but 2 games this season. Bills quarterback Josh Allen said the offense's struggles to finish games are very correctable. He went on to say just pulling together as a team, making sure we're staying as one unit, getting back to the fundamentals, again, just trusting the other 10 guys on the field with you, and you're trusted and expected to do your 1 out of 11th. For the Panthers, the key to this game could be Buffalo's porous run defense, which ranks 31st in the NFL, giving up 156.3 ground yards a game. Running backs Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle can take the pressure off fill-in quarterback Andy Dalton with a rushing offense that ranks 3rd in yards per game at 140.1. Josh Allen is seeking 5 consecutive games with multiple passing touchdowns for the first time since weeks 4 through 8 of the 2023 season. The FPI does give it to Buffalo, but it is not an overwhelming FPI. It's only 55%, but they are still going with the Buffalo Bills to win this game. Let's be realistic here. If I tell you all that this is a must-win game for the Buffalo Bills, it would be the understatement, not just of the year, but of the century. So much expectation for this team. Going into this season, I told Michael Bullock, and I'm sure I said it on this show when we first started this season, that I was the most excited I ever was for a Buffalo Bills season. And for the first month or so, my excitement was justified. Buffalo roared out to a 4-0 start. It looked like the stars were aligning. It looked like the bases were covered. But then but then a couple of weeks, just a few short weeks ago, the New England Patriots came in and ruined that mojo. And then, as if that wasn't bad enough, 8 days later they go to Atlanta and Bijan Robinson ran circles around them. This is a must-win game for this team because of all the expectation they had. A lot of the experts said that this team was a serious contender for the Super Bowl. And that's one of the reasons why I was so excited. But the last couple of weeks, that excitement has slowly dwindled. And I told MF and I told Bullock and I told our other buddies, Brian Keenan and Mike Silvera, when we had our boys' night out the other night, I said it. If Buffalo loses this game tomorrow to Carolina, I am damn near on the verge of pushing the damn panic button. Because Buffalo's schedule is starting to get tougher. New England's schedule is starting to get easier. The easier New England's schedule gets, the more wins they're going to have. The tougher Buffalo schedule is, the more realistic the possibility is of the losses ranking up. But the good news is they've done very well off bye weeks the last few years. Josh Allen has never lost 3 straight games. And I'd be lying if I said I was not nervous about this game because I'm in damn near panic mode. Honest to God, I am. But Bryce Young is out. Bryce Young will not be playing. He suffered a high ankle sprain last week against the Jets. So Andy Dalton will be the starting quarterback. And Rico Dowdle has been an absolute terror over the last few weeks. I don't think he went as crazy against the Jets, but after those insane numbers he put up against Miami and Dallas, I mean, he's been one of the hot hands in the league right now. And who knows, he could be in line for another big game tomorrow. It's very possible. I wouldn't be surprised if he does. But real fans stick by their teams no matter what, in good times and in bad times. And I'm going to stick by my team. You know I am. You know I still believe in them. I'm never going to give up on them, even though there have been times I've wanted to. And right now is one of those times. But I'm not going to do that. I still believe this team. Now, here's the thing. Last year, they got off to a hot start. Then they did have a stumble. They did stumble a couple games in a row. But then they got hot. They got hot again. They stayed hot. But then they did suffer, a tough loss along the way. But they still made it all the way to the AFC Championship game. The talent is there. And like I always say, I respect every opponent I go against. And here's another reason why this is a must-win game. Not just because of New England. New England right now leads the AFC East. It's the latest they've led it in 6 years. And if, God forbid, Buffalo loses again, and New England's got a winnable game, and we'll talk about that coming up. And oh, by the way, guess who Buffalo has to deal with next week? Kansas City. Kansas City is coming to Highmark next week. So this, beyond the shadow of a doubt, is a must-win game if there ever was one. They've got to win this game. Because otherwise, New England's going to pull further away. And the chances of New England winning the AFC East are going to be sky high. But yes, I'm nervous, but I still believe in this team. I know Bills Mafia still believes in this team. I'm not giving up on them. And I do believe they can win. But Carolina will give them fits. This is not going to be a decisive win. This is not going to be a comfortable win. I believe this is going to be one of those where I'm going to have to sweat it out yet again, and I hate having to do that, but I'm afraid that's what it's going to be here. 27-20. I'm going to go with Buffalo to win. And I'll tell you right now, they damn sure better, because if they don't, it's trouble. Big trouble. New England's lead in that division is going to get bigger, and their schedule getting easier. Our schedule is getting tougher. Like I said, KC coming in. They got their mojo back. This is must win. Must win. Wake the F up and do your job. I don't know what else there is to say. MF, must win for Buffalo, man. Must win. Understatement of the century, understatement of the year. They better take care of their business in Carolina, because if they don't, big trouble.
Yeah, because you're fighting for the AFC East right now. And that's exactly what you're talking about. Because you're thinking about it as in the grand scheme of thing, or in the realm of that, we gotta win it, because if we don't win the AFC East, we don't get if we don't win the division, then that's it. It's lights, it's curtains. Where, yeah, if you don't win the AFC East, that's fine, but you're still in a playoff position. But it does get a little more dangerous. So obviously you gotta play, you gotta play your game, you gotta handle your situation. And yes, this is probably gonna be the one that's gonna determine if you're gonna be a division champ, if you're gonna be in the division, or possibly playing for, the wild card. But I'm very confident enough that I think Buffalo should win this game. You don't got Bryce Young. Bryce Young was the one that kind of really helped helped them beat Miami earlier in the year, but it was Rico Dabo. If Rico starts going crazy like that, then yeah, there's no doubt in my mind. I think Carolina could win this. But Buffalo, knowing the realization of what's at stake, they're not going to let this one go. I don't think they will. I think they finally have heard enough of the media talking about how Buffalo are a bunch of frauds, that Josh Allen is overhyped and overrated, that they should fire the head coach. They've been hearing all this negativity for the last 2 weeks. I think this is going to be inspired football by Buffalo, because now they know the backs are up against the wall. And when you have a wounded animal with their back up against the wall, they start fighting, scrapping, and clawing their way out. So I kind of feel like this is kind of Buffalo's last stand, and they gotta do something, because if they don't win this game and they've lost, what, that would be 3 in a row heading into going up against Kansas City. No, that at that point it's almost impossible odds to deal with. So no, I think Buffalo will win. Anthony, it's yours.
They damn sure better. That's all there is to say. All right, moving on. Zonk game of the week on our end. The New York Jets squaring off against the Cincinnati Bengals. Paycor Stadium, Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati. Spiro Ditas, Adam Archuleta, Aditi Kinkabuela. We got the spread favoring Cincinnati by 6.5. The Jets lead the all-time regular season series 16-11. Their last meeting was 2022 in New York. Cincinnati won 27-12. Jets last beat them 2021. That was also at home, 34-31. Last meeting in Cincinnati, 2019. Bengals won that 22-6. The Jets have not won in Cincinnati since a playoff game, a wild card game in January of 2010. The Jets' last regular season win in Cincinnati, you got to go all the way back to 1997, believe it or not, at the old Riverfront, Synergy Field, 31-14. So, not much more to say. MF, Bengals coming off that big win against Pittsburgh a couple of Thursdays ago.
Yep.
And the Jets, 0-7. I think it's
just
about to be 0-8.
Yeah, they're continuing to struggle, and the thing is that Cincinnati, it looks like they found their identity. Joe Flacco has finally. It looks like he finally figured out this offense. First game, not so much. They're getting better and better. They're starting to figure it out. All of a sudden, now we're looking at we're looking at Cincinnati, and we're like, uh-oh, is this the team that we've been waiting for? So we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, give me the Cincinnati Bengals to win yet again, because like you said, there's been very little faith or hope or anything that makes us believe that the Jets are going to do anything in this game. So yeah, give me Cincinnati, and Anthony, it's yours.
Justin Fields or Tyrod Taylor? Jets coach Aaron Glenn is not revealing his quarterback decision. Either way, the Jets will be hard-pressed to snap their losing skid, as wide receiver Garrett Wilson with a knee and cornerback Sauce Gardner with a concussion are unlikely to play. Without Gardner, it will be hard to defend Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase, who Jets defensive coordinator Steve Wilks called, quote-unquote, a potential Hall of Famer. It will be interesting to see if they use rookie Azaria Thomas or recently acquired cornerback Jarvis Brownlee Jr. to replace Gardner. There is a certain steadiness that Bengals quarterback Joe Flacco has brought to that Bengals offense, whether it was after a loss to Green Bay or in the win over Pittsburgh. Guard Dalton Risner noted that Flacco is as even-keeled as it gets. That trait has been seen by many in Flacco's brief time in Cincinnati and is important for a team trying to build momentum. Coach Zach Taylor said, "We have not come close to reaching our potential as a team yet, so that's so important. Guys continuing to improve so we play our best game against the Jets." The Bengals' 68.9 rushing yards a game this season are the fewest in the NFL. They did have a season-high 142 rushing yards last time out against Pittsburgh in Week 7. FPI likes Cincinnati here. 58% going with the Cincinnati Bengals, and I'm going with the Cincinnati Bengals as well. 31-17, give me the Bengals to defeat the Jets. Moving on to our next matchup. We go to the other side of the ledger here, as it will be the San Francisco 49ers squaring off against the Houston Texans, NRG, formerly Reliant Stadium in Houston. Kevin Kugler, Daryl Moose Johnston, Allison Williams on the call for that game. And believe it or not, Houston opening up as a 2-point favorite. That's a little surprising to me. Series history favors San Francisco 4-1. Niners have won the last 3 meetings in a row. Last meeting was 2021 in San Francisco. Niners won that 23-7. The Texans have only beaten the 49ers once, and that was at home, and that was in 2009, 24-21. So let's get into the Niners and the Texans here. All right. Okay, I think I got it here. All right. For the first time since D'Amico Ryans left San Francisco to be the Texans coach, the Niners will have to face a Ryans-led defense. It's a tall order as Houston ranks first in the NFL in scoring defense, second in defensive EPA, and 15 yards per carry allowed at 3.8. Niners coach Kyle Shanahan said of this, "You're going against a very sound defense schematically, a defense that plays the right way with their intent and just how physical they play, and a very talented group of 11 guys, too, with good backups. Everything's a challenge about it, but it starts with their physicality and soundness." The Texans' pass catchers might take a hit this week. Wideout Nico Collins, who's in the concussion protocol, might not play, and wideout Christian Kirk, who missed last week's game with a hamstring injury, might be out again. Neither practiced on Wednesday or Thursday, and the Texans rarely play guys who don't practice both days. Expect rookies Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins to fill the void. Despite rotating between quarterbacks Brock Purdy and Mac Jones, the 49ers lead the league in passing yards a game at 271.3 and are tied with Tampa Bay for the second most yards after the catch this season, 923. The FPI goes with Houston, believe it or not. 56% going with Houston, but with all due respect, I got to go with the San Francisco 49ers here. I think San Francisco wins this one. I'm going to say 23-17. San Francisco wins. And MF, I got to ask, how in the world is this team doing this despite all of these injuries to all these big guys? I mean, all of their star players. And yet this team is what, 5-2? It's mind-boggling how this team is 5-2 despite all these injuries. So I'm going with San Fran to win again, 23-17. So, MF, how is this team doing it?
I guess the best way for me to describe it, it's a next man up mentality. You just have to play your game. You got to play your team. Whatever the case may be, and they just don't give up. They don't give up. They don't show any surrender. They don't show any, it's easy to have say, you know what, we give up, or we don't have the team that's gonna be better than us, and we just say, it is what it is. But this team does not give up. They don't show any fear, and they want to keep going. And I got to give a lot of credit and a lot of respect to this team because, like I said, they could have thrown in the towel a long time ago, but they're not. They're like, you know what? We're gonna navigate it. We're gonna get through this. We're gonna continue through, and this is why they are where they're at. Give me the 49ers yet again to win another game. So I'm believing in the Niners now. I believe the hype. So, Anthony, it's yours.
Agreed. So with that being said, let's move on to our next matchup, as it will be the Cleveland Browns squaring off against the New England Patriots, Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. This will be on Fox. We have Chris Myers, Mark Schlereth, and Christina Pink on the call. And New England opening up as a 7-point favorite. Excuse me. New England leads the regular season series 14-12, and the Patriots have won the last 5 meetings in a row against Cleveland, including a 38-15 win in Cleveland in 2022 in their last meeting. Last meeting in New England was 2021. New England smashed Cleveland in that one as well, 45-7. Browns last beat the Patriots overall in 2010 in Cleveland, 34-14. The Cleveland Browns have not won in New England since all the way back in 1992. 1992. The last time the Browns left New England with a win, that was a 1917 win at the old Foxborough Stadium. Not much more to say. MF, we know how good Cleveland's defense is. They got that going for them. But the thing is, you're going up against one of the most improved teams in the NFL, way ahead of schedule, first in the AFC East, and they're going to be there for quite some time.
They could, yeah, no doubt about it. It's gonna be very interesting to see how this plays out. Cleveland just has to try to maintain, try to keep it close, and if they do, they might be able to steal it. But the way New England's been playing, they're just focused. Mike Vrabel right now, I have to say, is one of the top candidates for Coach of the Year. There is one other guy that I think is the Coach of the Year. We'll get into him in a little while. But I think right now, the way that this thing is going, yeah, I think New England's going to win, and I think they're going to win yet another one. So give me the Patriots to win, and Anthony, it's yours.
The entire Browns defense got a game ball for a masterful game plan against the Miami Dolphins that resulted in 6 points allowed and 3 interceptions. The Patriots and quarterback Drake May, though, will pose a significant step up in competition. May has the highest QBR against man coverage at 93.3, and Cleveland uses the 7th highest rate of man coverage in the NFL at 48.9%. Safety Grant Delpit said, I wouldn't say it's a complicated offense. They just do the simple things and they play hard. So it's going to be a challenge for us. You've got to watch out for his dual threat ability as well. So he's a good quarterback. Returning home from a 3-game road trip, or should I say returning home from a very successful 3-game road trip, wide receiver Stephon Diggs noted the team's 1-2 record playing at Gillette Stadium and said the goal is straightforward: protect the house. It's time to get back to the crib, get in front of our home crowd, and give them something to be proud of. Coach Mike Vrabel said the Browns' defense is the best the Patriots have faced so far this season, both statistically and from a play style that uses speed and disruption. Browns rookie running back Quinshon Judkins, 5 rushing touchdowns this season, 3 last week, on the most by any Browns player through their first 6 career games since 1970. a high FPI for New England, 68% going with the New England Patriots, and I'm going with the New England Patriots to win this game as well. I say they win 26-14. 26-14, give me New England to keep their winning ways going, keep this magical start going for them. They defeat Cleveland in that one. Final early game of the week, and it is on Fox, as it will feature, for the second time in the last 3 weeks, it'll be the New York Giants squaring off against the Philadelphia Eagles, Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. The A-team working this game, as it'll be Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady, Aaron Andrews, and Tom Rinaldi. Philadelphia opening up as a 7.5-point favorite. But believe it or not, the Giants, you remember that Thursday night a couple of weeks ago or so, the Eagles they got smacked around by the Giants. The Giants smashed them 34-17 at MetLife. So they cut Philly's lead to 92-87 now with 2 ties. Last year in Philadelphia, Eagles won 20-13. The Giants' last win in Philly, actually, it's been a while. The Eagles have a very long home winning streak against the Giants. And the Giants have not won in Philadelphia since, believe it or not, since 2013. 2013. That's the last time the Giants went into the Link and beat the Eagles. That was a 15-7 final. From 2014 all the way to last year, the Eagles have beaten the Giants in Philadelphia at home. So, and you know they've got revenge on their minds. So let's talk about this. Just gotta find it in my notes here. Okay. The Giants snapped their 8-game NFC East skid against the Eagles 2 weeks ago at MetLife Stadium. This is a different challenge for rookie quarterback Jackson Dart and company in Philadelphia. If Dart didn't have any haters, he'll find out where they all live, wide receiver Darius Slayton said. He's about to get introduced to all of them. Philadelphia has been a house of horrors for the Giants. As I said, the last time they won there was in 2013. Eagles left tackle Jordan Mailata called this rematch personal for him after playing very passive in what he described as the worst game of his career in Week 6. The Eagles uncharacteristically lost the battle at the point of attack, and they do not plan on history repeating itself. The message this week is be physical. Let's be physical up front, both sides of the ball, and dominate. The Eagles co-lead the league with a 100% goal-to-go touchdown percentage and have a league-high 82.4% red zone TD percentage. But they also lead the league in 3-and-out drives, resulting in a punt with 25, and have 31 drives without a first down, tied for second most behind Tennessee. Yikes. But it's a solid FPI for Philly. 65% going with the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles to win as well. I think they're going to smack the Giants around. 38-20. Give me the Eagles to get their revenge on the Giants for a couple weeks ago. And they started hot, and they lost their mojo a little bit, given that game away against Denver, and then getting smacked around by the Giants on a short week. But then they got their mojo back in that nice win against Minnesota last week. So give me the Eagles. I'm going to say 38-20. That's my final. I think they're going to the classic case of what goes around comes around, and I think they're going to pay the Giants back for a couple weeks ago. So not much more to add. So MF Eagles looking to pay back the Giants after the Giants smacked them around at MetLife on that Thursday night a couple weeks ago. I say that the Eagles get their payback 38-20.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I kind of feel like Philadelphia kind of realizes that they got embarrassed. And especially in New York, you don't know where they stand now because it feels like they let a couple of games get away.
Especially
And
Denver. Oh
especially
my God. What was that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, that game was the most devastating loss of all in my mind. There's really not much for me to add on that one. I think Philadelphia should win this one and win this one going away. So there's really nothing more to say. So yeah, Anthony, it's yours.
All right, it's time now. I believe that covers all the early games, and now it's time to get to the late games. We only have 3.
Yeah.
We have 1 at 4:05 on Fox and 2 at 4:25 on CBS. So let's start with the 4:05 game on Fox. NFC South Divisional matchup featuring the Tampa Bay Buccaneers squaring off against the New Orleans Saints from the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, and Megan O'Leary will be on the call for Fox. And Tampa Bay opening up as a 3.5-point favorite. And the series history regular season favors New Orleans 40-26. But Tampa Bay won both meetings last year, including a 51-27 beatdown in the Superdome last year. The Bucs have actually won the last 3 meetings in New Orleans. Saints haven't beaten the Bucs at home since 2021. That was a 36-27 final. So not much more to say. MF, we talked about Philly getting back on track. Tampa Bay, they're looking to get back on track after they got punched in the mouth by the Lions on Monday night.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like Tampa Bay will. However, Bucky Irving doesn't look like he's playing. We already know Mike Evans is out, and I don't know anything about if Chris Godwin's gonna play. I think he might. I don't know. Defensively, they are a little bit hurt as well. So if you're New Orleans, if there's a moment where maybe you could pull an upset, this might be it. However, I just don't think that they'll be able to do it. I just don't have that much faith in the Saints right now. I kind of feel like they're kind of treading water here, and they're not like. There's been some times where, especially at home, they'll play a lot more tougher. They'll be a lot more. They'll cause some headaches. But I think Baker Mayfield and the boys are going to figure it out. They're going to get this win here. They're going to bounce back. This is a bounce back. This is a redemption game for them. So give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to beat the New Orleans Saints. Anthony, it is yours.
As you said, MF, the injuries at wide receiver for Tampa Bay continue to mount for them. With Mike Evans now out with a broken clavicle, his absence creates a huge void, and Tampa Bay is already without Chris Godwin Jr. with a fibula, Jalen McMillan with a neck, and your boy, MF, running back Bucky Irving with a foot and shoulder. Coach Todd Bowles said, unfortunately, from the business standpoint, you have to move forward. You cannot focus on that. But from the personal point of that, it just sucks. The Saints are dealing with some health issues. Just a week after having full participation in practice, center Eric McCoy with a biceps and running back Kendre Miller with a knee went to IR. And wide receiver Chris Olave missed practice Wednesday with an ankle injury. Olave had a hip injury last week, but still had 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. New Orleans will replace McCoy with Luke Fortner, who was acquired through a trade in the preseason, while rookie running back Devin Neal will get more snaps now that Miller is out. Bucs quarterback Baker Mayfield's 8 passing touchdowns on deep throws this season, which is 20-plus air yards, are the most in the NFL. Decent FPI for Tampa Bay, 64%. Going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going with Tampa Bay to win as well. I'm going to go 23-13. Tampa Bay gets back on track after getting smacked around by Detroit last Monday night. So 23-13, give me Tampa Bay over New Orleans. All right, now we move on to the 425 games on our side of the ledger. And coming up, we have our number 2 game of the week. This came in at number 2. Going to be a good one here. The Dallas Cowboys squaring off against the Denver Broncos in Power Field at Mile High in Denver. Hello, friends. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson. They will be in the Mile High for this one. And the series history favors Denver. Denver leads the all-time series 9-4. And here's the thing. Denver has owned Dallas in recent memory. Denver has won 7 straight meetings against Dallas. Dallas has not beaten Denver since 1995, and that was in Dallas, 31-21. And Dallas has not won in Denver since 1992, 31-27 at the old Mile High Stadium. But that's the story there. So, by the way, Denver opening up as a 3.5-point favorite. So, all right. Consistency has not been a mainstay for the Cowboys. They go to Denver looking for consecutive wins for the first time since weeks 15 to 16 last season. And they are 1-3 on the road, with their only win coming against the winless New York Jets. Coach Brian Schottenheimer said, "No one cares where we are today. That doesn't matter. What matters is where we're going to be in January. If they don't stack wins, January won't matter." The Broncos continue to walk the line between a good 5-2 record or a lucky 5-2 record. The Cowboys offense, number 1 in total offense, number 2 in scoring, will test Denver's defense to be sure. But the Broncos' fate might be tied to just how many yellow flags hit the ground. This team has had the second most penalties in the league, including decline penalties. Denver has been flagged 73 times and leads the league in defensive penalties at 31, while being tied for third most penalties on offense at 36. Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott's 4 consecutive games with 3+ passing touchdowns and 0 interceptions is the longest streak in franchise history and tied for the second longest streak in NFL history. FPI goes with Denver, not overwhelming. It's only 55% for Denver. But I'm going with the Denver Broncos to win this game. I think Denver will win this one. Would I be surprised if Dallas steals it? No. But because of the recent history and because of all the momentum they had in that miracle comeback against the Giants, I got to go with Denver. Close game, high-scoring game. 33-27. Give me Denver to defeat Dallas. Make it 8 straight wins for them. So, 8 straight wins against Dallas, that is. So, not much more to say. MF, our number 2 game of the week. Dallas, Denver, in the Mile High. Dallas exploded. Smacked around the Washington Commanders. They took out Jaden Daniels. We'll have more on that in a little bit. Smacked them around 44-22 in Jerry World. But, of course, the story of last week was Denver. That incredible comeback against the Giants. Down 19-0 going into the fourth quarter. And then later in the fourth quarter, trailing 26-8. And then Denver pulls that thing out 33-32. How can you not have momentum after an epic comeback like that? So MF,
Yeah.
how about it?
Yeah. And the fact of the matter, it goes like this. A lot of people are wondering, how are they going to counter? How are they going to return? How are they going to, channel that big win? Because like you said, it was one of the biggest wins that they had all year. It was a big moment for them because Denver were dead to rights. In all attempted purposes, they had no business winning that game. They didn't. I think we all agreed with that. I think we all felt that way. I think there was no possible rhyme or reason or logical explanation of how on earth they did what they did, but they did. They came back, they fought, and they didn't give up. They showed the grit, they showed the heart, they showed everything, and they got the win. They got the job done. They shocked the world. And now, what do you do for an encore? Well, now you try to win this game. And honestly, Anthony, I think it's very possible that they could do this. It's very possible they could win this game. It's very possible they could shock again. Dallas is an up and down. We don't know what we get week in and week out. There's a week where they look really, really good, and then there's times where they look not so great. So how's that going to play? How's that going to look? I don't know. But if you're really gonna put the quote unquote pressure on me to say who I think's gonna win, I'm actually gonna go and I'm gonna say Denver in an upset. I kind of feel like, going into that Mile High City is no joke. And I think that's kind of the problem that I think Dallas is going to have. I don't know if they're going to be able to withstand that pressure with that crowd in that mile high air. That's an ultimate equalizer. I don't know if we don't. A lot of the times, we never, ever, 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 ever question the mile high air or just that altitude as a factor in this game. But I really think it could be a factor. So for me, give me the Denver Broncos to pull off a major upset over the Dallas Cowboys. Anthony, it's yours.
All right, and the other 425 game. This game came in as our number 5 game of the week. The Tennessee Titans squaring off against the hottest team in the league right now, the Indianapolis Colts. Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Andrew Catalon, Charles Davis, Jason McCourty, AJ Ross. And Indianapolis with the biggest spread of the week. They're opening up as a 14.5-point favorite. 14.5 for Indy. And rightly so. Indianapolis leads the regular season series 39-21. And the Colts have actually won the last 4 meetings in a row against Tennessee. They swept them last year and swept them the year before. Last year in Indy won a wild one, 38-30. Tennessee last won in Indy in 2022. That was a 19-10 final. Nothing more to say. MF, the Indianapolis Colts, the toast of the league right now, the biggest surprise in the NFL. Shane Steichen, without a doubt, early front runner for coach of the year, and a 14.5-point spread. Man, yeah. Oh man, what did you see? I swear, when we did our preview show, we had this team finishing in the basement in the South. They said, okay, hold our beer.
Yeah.
Now look where they are.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
They basically called us, they called our bluff. That's what it was. They called our bluff. We were like, there's no way you guys are gonna do this. There's no way you guys are gonna be this good. And all of a sudden, all they've been doing is playing the game, handling their business, doing what they've always been doing. And all of a sudden, we're like, we got to give it up. We got to respect and we got to give it up to this team. And yeah, they've been playing lights out, unbelievable. And we got to give them their credit where credit's due now. So yeah, at the end of the day, I'm totally in an agreement with you. I do believe Indy should win this, and I think they will win this. There's really nothing more to add. So Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah. The Titans will likely be without defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons with a hamstring, which does not bode well for their run defense. Colts running back Jonathan Taylor, 697 rushing yards to lead the league and could increase exponentially tomorrow, even though Tennessee's focus will be on stopping him. Defensive coordinator Denard Wilson said Simmons' play has been the best from a 3 technique this season and is leaning on Tavondre Sweat, among others, to fill the void. You can't replace Jeff Simmons, Wilson said. They've just got to be the best version of themselves and play their best football. The Colts have won 5 straight meetings with the Titans going back to October of 2023. In those games, Indianapolis has averaged 30.6 points, including a 41-20 win last month. So they've won 5 straight. So this is their second meeting. So it's now 40-21 all time for Indy. I forgot about that. But anyways, the Colts have had 4 different starting quarterbacks in those games. Anthony Richardson, Gardner Minshew, Joe Flacco, and Daniel Jones. But it has not impacted the outcomes. Sunday's game, which Jones will start, will mark the first time since 2022 that a single Colts signal caller started both games against Tennessee in the same season. Colts tight end Tyler Warren has 3 consecutive games with a receiving touchdown, tied for the longest streak by a rookie in franchise history. The biggest FPI of the week. Listen to this, MF. You want to listen to this FPI for Indianapolis. 83% going with the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going with the Indianapolis Colts. 37-16. And I'm also going to go as far as to call it my lock of the week. 37-16, Indy all day.
Yeah, no
Primetime
big
games, we've
surprise
only
there.
got 2 this week. We got Sunday Night Football. We cross-flexed it, and this is our game of the week. Sunday Night Football at 8:20 on NBC. Oh, is this going to be a fun one? The Green Bay Packers squaring off against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh, formerly Heinz Field. Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, Melissa Stark. Green Bay opening up as a 3-point favorite. Green Bay leads the regular season series 19-17. Last meeting was 2023 in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh won 23-19. The Packers have not won in Pittsburgh since, is this right? 1970? Wow. Okay. Yeah, the Green Bay Packers have not won a game in Pittsburgh since all the way back in 1970. 20-12 was the final there. So let's get to our game of the week via the Crossflex. One of the hallmarks of coordinator Jeff Hafley's defense is deception, trying to get the quarterback to think one thing is coming but bringing another. That might not work against Aaron Rodgers. I don't really think the disguise is going to be doing things for him, said cornerback Keyshawn Nixon, who had a 1-year overlap with Rodgers in Green Bay. There's nothing he hasn't seen. One player could spoil Rodgers' much-hyped game against his former team, Micah Parsons. The pass rusher's impact has increased weekly as he recorded his first career 3-sack game last week against Arizona. The Steelers' offensive line, meanwhile, has kept Rodgers fairly clean. After being sacked 7 times in his first 2 games, Rodgers has only taken 2 sacks in his last 3 games. Rodgers said, "I'm more comfortable when I'm staying clean. The only tackle I had the other night was Broderick Jones. Other than that, I'm feeling pretty good." The Steelers have 7 or fewer points in the first quarter of 56 consecutive games, which is the longest active streak in the NFL. Slight FPI for Green Bay. They give it to them 55%. But I'm going with the Green Bay Packers to win this game. My final score, I'm going to go 23-20. Green Bay steals one in Pittsburgh for the first time since all the way back in 1970, if you can imagine that. I like Green Bay in this one, but would I be surprised if Pittsburgh wins this? No, certainly not. Aaron Rodgers, he wants that revenge. I mean, I think he's beaten every team in the league except one, and that's his former team that he inherited from Brett Favre, obviously, and had all that great success with them. So, but I think Green Bay will eke it out, and I do believe Micah Parsons will be the difference maker here. 23-20 Green Bay wins. MF, our game of the week via the Crossflex. Of course, we're not doing it because we're in World Series mode.
Yep.
This week, anyways. We'll be back next week. But nonetheless, the Crews move up one. The 2 crew gets it because of that. So, but we'll talk about it like it was our game. So, as the Phil Sims to my Jim Nance, do that thing I like. Hello, friends.
Yeah. This is going to be an interesting matchup. Obviously, the backdrop is Aaron Rodgers versus the Packers. No doubt about it. But I kind of feel like with everything going on, I kind of feel like Green Bay should win this game with the defense, with Micah Parsons. And I just feel like overall, I feel like Green Bay is the better team. It's going to be a tight game. This is going to be a very interesting matchup. But I kind of feel like Green Bay to win. Close game, but really nothing more to say. So, Anthony, it's yours.
We got one final game to get into, and that is Monday Night Football. Monday night at 8:15 ESPN, simulcast on ABC. It will be the Washington Commanders squaring off against the Kansas City Chiefs, Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Lisa Salters, and Laura Rutledge. Kansas City with the second biggest spread of the week. Kansas City opening up as an 11.5-point favorite. And for good reason. Kansas City leads the all-time series against Washington. Listen to this, MF. 10-1. 10-1 for Kansas City. Washington has only beaten Kansas City once, and that was all the way back in 1983, and that was in Washington, 27-12. Other than that, it has been all Chiefs, including a 31-13 win in Washington in their last meeting in 2021. Kansas City, they last played there in 17. Chiefs won that 29-20. So not much more to say. MF, good news and bad news for Washington. The good news is they're getting Scary Terry back, Terry McLaurin. They're also getting Deebo Samuel back. That's the good news. The bad news is they're going to be without their star quarterback, Jaden Daniels. Marcus Mariota gets the start. 1-10 against KC, and you're going against KC, who's got their mojo back. Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out, to say the very least. But I gotta go with the Kansas City Chiefs. I kind of feel like they're turning that corner, and they're starting to become that team that nobody wants to see. I know, Anthony, you alluded to it earlier that they got Buffalo next week, and that's going to be a monster game, no doubt about it. For me, it's pretty simple. No Jaden Daniels. That's a major problem. That I kind of feel like would have been a difference maker. Kansas City just too strong, too powerful. We saw what happened when Rashid Rice got back on the field. He exploded right out of the gate. 2 touchdowns in his return. Then you got Xavier Worthy. He hasn't really had some great moments, but we're going to see. Kelsey will be Kelsey. If he gets his opportunities, you know he's a devastating player. Not as great as he's been in the last couple of games, but I do believe that if you give him an opportunity, you give him an inch, he'll take the mile. So for me, this is a pretty simple call here. Kansas City wins. Anthony, you got the final say for tonight.
The Commanders' defense continues to struggle. It not only can't stop anyone, but it has forced only 3 takeaways all season. In the last 4 weeks, Washington's defense ranks 28th in scoring and 29th in total yardage. Coach Dan Quinn said the team has tweaked aspects of the defense, but that he did not foresee changes to the starting lineup. The goal, Quinn said, is to get the defense to play faster. It's a good process to go through, but the result has to be on the field. He added that the goal is less hesitation, which increases speed, which increases the ability to go run and hit. That's the objective. Led by quarterback Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs have averaged 31.5 points a game over their last 4 games, which has allowed the defense to get plenty of breaks. The biggest example occurred last week when the Chiefs had 30 first downs and the Raiders had only 30 total plays on offense. Linebacker Nick Bolton said, obviously, it helps us a lot. I was just joking around with those guys. Just don't score in 3 minutes. Keep the 8-minute, 9-minute drives out there so we're always fresh. But yeah, man, scoring points, man, I think it's given us a lot of juice. The Commanders have converted 25 of 32 fourth down attempts, 78%, under Dan Quinn since 2024. Best conversion rate in the NFL over that span, though they're converting at only 56% a clip this season, which is 19th. Second highest FPI of the week. Kansas City, I believe, if I read that correctly, I believe it's 75. Yeah, 75% going with Kansas City. I'm going with Kansas City to win this one. If Jaden Daniels had played, I would have said 31-24 Kansas City. But since he's not playing, I'm going to say 27-10. But regardless, I'm going with Kansas City. Kansas City will win this one. This will be a nice tune-up for them before the big game in Buffalo next week, which I'm hoping the records will somehow hold up and it'll be our game of the week next week, because you know how important that game is to me. So, all right. So that's it. That will put the bow on this special Saturday night edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. We will be back with you again tomorrow night at 10 p.m. over on MF's channel, Braves Fan 95. We got the Cerebral Smack Talk. We're going to be covering Friday Night SmackDown and NXT Halloween Havoc. So we'll get into that tomorrow. And then Tuesday night, right back here on the Tone 25, we got Ridiculously Raw. We got Monday Night Raw, NXT, the fallout from Halloween Havoc. And of course, a preview of Thursday Night Football, the Baltimore Ravens and the Miami Dolphins. And then Thursday, I can't believe I'm saying this already, but it's true, the Week 10 edition of TXN Sports World College Football Thursday. And then Friday night, hopefully we'll be back at our normal time next Friday night for the Week 9 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday. And should that be the case, when it comes to our side of the ledger, we got dealt a much better hand. We're talking Kansas City and Buffalo. We're talking Indianapolis and Pittsburgh, Atlanta and New England, Chicago and Cincinnati, just to name a few. And also, we'll also recap Baltimore and Miami, of course. We've also got Minnesota going up against Detroit. We also have, excuse me, Carolina against Green Bay. We got, and then there's Seattle and Washington, and that's pretty much it. The Cleveland Browns, New York Jets, Philadelphia Eagles, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be on the bye next week. So, but we'll get into that on Friday night, hopefully, God willing, and that's it. So until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk over on MF's channel, Raceway 95, this is Anthony Florio here for good old MF, Michael Fletcher, and in spirit, Michael Bullock. And then always and forever, our First Lady, Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up, Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Sunday. Enjoy all the action. And until the Cerebral Smack Talk tomorrow night, you've been watching this special Saturday edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday, week number 8, right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and Streamy.com. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.